Hello buddies, in this video we're gonna talking about components of an operating system. But first we need to know what is an operating system.
Well, an operating system is the core set of the software on a device that keeps everything together. Operating systems communicate with the device's hardware. They handle everything from your keyboard and mice to the Wi-Fi radio, storage devices, and display. In other words, an operating system handles input and output devices. Operating systems use device drivers written by hardware creators to communicate with their devices. Operating systems also include a lot of software things like common system services, libraries, and applications programming interfaces, APIs, that developers can use to write programs that run on the operating system. So, some common examples of operating systems will be Windows, Android, Mac OS, and Linux.
Now we can talk about components of an operating system. First we have file system.
And what is it? Well, the file system of an operating system is the organizational structure that allows for the management of files and directories on and storage devices, such as a hard drive or flash drive. It provides a set of rules and procedures for creating, naming, storing, and accessing files and the directory in the system. The file system also handles access to file and protects data by assigning permissions and access rights to users and groups. In multi-user operating systems, the file system helps ensure that users only have access to files they are authorized to access. There are different types of file systems, such as FAT, NTFS, HFS+, and ext, and others, each with their own characteristics and benefits for different uses and applications. In fact, you can give the format of your preference to devices such as USB drives. That is known as formatting. It all depends on the use you are going to give your device. Since it may be the case that some device to which you want to connect your USB is not compatible with the type of format you gave it. Another point to take into account and related to this is that the FAT format is the most compatible, but only allows us to host 4 GB, contrary to NTFS format.
Well, now we're gonna talking about library.
In an operating system, a library is a set of pre-compiled code and functions that programs can use to perform specific tasks. Libraries are used to avoid the need of each program to include all the code it needs, which saves storage space and compilation time. For example, if a program needs to perform complex mathematical operations, instead of including the complete code for these operations in the program, it can use a math library that already contains those functions and just call them from the program.
An example of real life will be the following. If you want to build a house, you don't need to build each necessary material. Such as bricks, windows, or some things like that. Simple, someone else already created them and you just have to go to the store and buy them to use them in your house. This happens in a similar way with applications and libraries.
Now it's time to talk about the kernel. The kernel is responsible for managing system resources and services, as well as communication between hardware and software. The kernel is the first program that is loaded into the system's memory when the operating system is started. It controls hardware resources such as the processors, memory, and input-output devices. It also provides services to programs, such as files management and inter-process communication.
Some operating systems share their kernel with others, how is the case of Android that uses the Linux kernel. And finally, system calls. In computing, a system call is a programmatic way in which a computer program requests a service from the kernel of the operating system it is executed on. A system call is a way for programs to interact with the operating system. A computer program makes a system call when it makes a request to the operating system's kernel. System call provides the services of the operating system to the user program via application program interface. Yes, you know that, API.
Well, I'm going to talk about APIs. A very common example of API is Google Maps. If you want to implement the map services in any application, you don't need to create it from scratch. Since you can take the Google Maps API and use it in your application. Very simple now. Another example of API is weather snippets. This is because weather snippets are a prime API example showing how Google coordinates with other software on the web. Next, we have Pay with PayPal. Another popular API is PayPal. The websites interacting with PayPal will not have direct access to your bank or card info.
If you spend a significant amount of time on Twitter, then you probably come across a bot at one point or another. Twitter has numerous bots that utilize the Twitter API to perform automated tasks. This was an overview through the components of an operating system. There are different types of operating systems with different characteristics, but in fact, basic components remain the same, but that could be the subject for another video. I hope everything has been explained in a clear way for you. In the same way, if you have any questions, you can leave it in the comments. So this is all for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time.